curious on what your thoughts are, because you talked about when we were a child, obviously, like, we have this kind of sense of freedom, right? This where are these walls being built? How are we, like, when are we building our own walls that kind of box us in these little, I don't even know, categories or versions of ourselves, and we don't, like, how does that happen?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I love talking about this. Been kind of observing it for a while, studying it in a lot of ways with different practices, and so I just like kind of speaking an example. Let's say, all right, you're a kid, you're growing up in the house. Let's say your parents are fighting, the dad leaves. You're not really sure why. Maybe there's some sort of internalization. You think, oh, maybe I wasn't good enough. And you kind of start to think, oh, maybe he doesn't care about me. He leaves me.
Damn.
And so I'm not good enough now. My dad left. He doesn't want to be here, take care of me. So now, yes, you maybe have a great connection with the mom, but that side connected to the masculine is now not fully integrated. And there may be a belief that you made about yourself in order to, like, understand and make sense of why that is. Because maybe, your dad's not like, hey, explaining to you. And maybe even if he did, you wouldn't even understand that because you're such a little kid. You don't even know. Or it could be, like I was talking about before, you got made fun of in school. Someone, like, laughed at, your hair looks funny that day. And now all of a sudden you think, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not cool. I'm not, I have, you, like, take away that free-spirited, confident, loving self because, oh, they're judging me. And now we're afraid, oh, they're judging me now.
Now you're, like, super self-conscious.
Yeah. And it could even just be, like,
like
it could
something
even be micro. It could be not even super self-conscious. It
Yeah.
could be just this little thing that now it's like, oh, I'm constantly trying to seek approval from other people, which happens pretty much to all of us.
Yeah.
And, whether or not we're a communal being, so always need to seek approval in order to be a part of the group. But however, that is kind of like an old, outdated system of the mind, a part of the ego that needs approval from others, because now we don't necessarily need the group that we're a part of, that we were born into in order to survive. We live in a modern society. We can choose to go to another group where we're accepted for who we are. So we don't need to be approved by just that group. So when we do that, that's because that's an evolutionary adaptation of our mind. And we can also release that and step more into the higher aspects of the human psyche, which is creativity and expression, which may not be accepted by a certain group that you're a part of. But when you move over and you're like, oh, I'm going to just be myself, then you attract people who will accept you for that, because we do need community. We do need to surround ourselves with people, and that helps us to feel that sense of wholeness, right? But it's about who are we surrounding ourselves by? And so with that, if we're always like, back to that space of trauma or like seeking approval because we got that little, made fun of, and that we got made fun of, and that whatever about our hair or something, and that made us think a certain way. And then we're constantly people pleasing in order to, like, gain approval from this certain group that we've always known. When we step out of our comfort zone, go to a different group and everything, then we can remember, oh wow, I can be accepted for just who I am, whether my hair is weird and wild and I dance like a freak and I love this type of music and whatever it is. So those are other ways. There's so many other things. I mean, it could be, stuff around fear, shame is a big one, especially sexuality. That's a huge one because we have so many, like, taboos, and religion kind of screws up a lot of people sexually. We have a lot of guilt and shame around our sexuality. And when we can really clear that and heal that, we can, again, release those blockages inside and realize that sexuality and pleasure is a part of life, and it's nothing to be ashamed of or feel guilty of or feel like we have to have an excess amount of or not get what our needs met. And so there's so many layers of healing around that. And unfortunately, certain religions kind of make people feel like it's wrong in order to, unless you're married already, or there's different, like, rules around it that really block us and feel like our desires are wrong.
I mean, there have been families that have literally been broken up over that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that just haven't even spoken to their families in years.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's sad. I mean, it's all love, at the core of it. But when we have all of these, like, guilt and shame and fear around it, then it creates a lot of distortions and illusions, and that leads to a lot of things that can really hurt people, that do hurt people, and that mess up our lives. So that's a whole other
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a whole
yeah.
other topic.
Yeah, no, that one gets deep.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
deep one.
Yeah. But even like as a child, we can be in our sexual energy as a young child and not know anything about it, but still feel like, oh, I'm doing something wrong because there's some energy here that I'm not really sure. And then maybe someone tells you, oh, you're not supposed to do this until you're married. And then you're like, oh, whoa, but I'm feeling all of this. So now I must be wrong. God must not like me because I'm feeling this. And then we again think, oh, I'm wrong. I'm not worthy of God's love because I feel this. And I was told that it's wrong to feel this or to express this before getting married, things like that. And that can really fuck some people up.
No, yeah, it really could. I mean, I grew up in the church, so like I've seen a lot of that. I've been lucky though. The churches that I've been to, it's been very like the church is for like those who need it, you know. And it's I know that in a lot of churches it's turned into like this kind of club type of thing, like or like if you don't do this, if you're not that, then like you're not good enough to even come to our church, like. But like I've been lucky enough that like the churches that I've been to has actually had like a lot of, I guess you could say, like emotionally damaged people. And it's just like a bunch of people just pretty much just trying to find themselves, because it can get into a vicious cycle to where you go to church, but then you feel bad, and then now you don't feel worthy. So then you stop going, and then you go deeper in this rabbit hole to then find redemption, to go right back to church, to then feel guilt. Because in the Bible, it talks about that the devil is a liar, and he's always going to bring up your past. You know, he's going to use that past against you. And I think that that's one of the toughest things, like moving forward, like trying to make a change, your past, you know, and like, and forgiveness. And forgiving may seem like an easy thing, but sometimes forgiving others is hard, and forgiving yourself could be damn near impossible. You know, a lot of us walk around with this guilt. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. No, that's a powerful point. I mean, forgiveness is everything.
Yeah.
We're holding on. That's again, that keeps that energy inside of us, and it only hurts us. It's not going to do anything to the other person, whether we forgive them or not. It really doesn't do anything for them. Even if you're really upset with them, you know, or whoever it is, even yourself, it's only going to really affect you.
Yeah, I mean,
whoever it is.
I read a book of the study of the Ho'oponopono, which is like the Hawaiian tradition of love and through forgiveness and healing. And like that was pretty next level stuff. Like that was
Sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
yeah, exactly. Like that was, but like man, that forgiveness, like that's because I, you know, I'm a bit of an Aries. Not a bit of an Aries. I'm a very Aries kind of person emotionally. And then obviously I got like that moon in Pisces type of thing, to where like I'm definitely like sensitive.
Which today is the full moon in Pisces, so this is just on another level.
I know.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so I'm very sensitive about certain things, and then I get very worked up on things. And it's just like, I mean, and it's sometimes it just happens out of nowhere. Like I'll be sitting there, and then I'll just immediately get mad about something that I allowed to happen in my life. And it just gets me in this, like, it just like takes the wind out of my sails. Like it just takes away like desire, ambition. It literally makes me want to do something messed up. It makes me want to just go, like, makes me want to go do drugs or go drinking or just do something that just kind of leads me down this road, because I don't want to think about it. I don't want to feel that way. So like over the last, I would say like year, like I've been trying to figure out like how to forgive myself, you know, and know that like I've been making these changes because I know that the person that I was isn't the person that I'm supposed to be. It's not my higher self. But it was the path that I needed to take to know these things. And it's just, and it's my life, and it's the life that I was supposed to live, and everything's fine. Everything's perfect because I've been blessed. I've been blessed beyond belief. You know, even in my downfall, I've been blessed. Like there's always been someone there to help me out. I've always had a guide. I've always had a teacher. I've always had a friend. I've always had love in my life. And honestly, like those are things that I have to always remind myself about, because sometimes I do get like in that circle, but in that mindset. But yeah, like forgiveness is such a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge. It's everything. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's powerful for people to hear too. Like, why I get upset with myself. That's definitely a huge part of my past too. Of like getting upset with myself. Oh, I did this wrong, or that's like been my pattern. Like, oh, I did this wrong, and now I have to be like really upset with myself,
Yeah.
and I'm not good enough. Again, those like unworthiness patterns that were so deeply ingrained in me for a while, and to really be hard on myself. And that was something that was very difficult for me to overcome in this journey of healing and remembering and constantly coming back to that whole Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. We can say that to ourselves.
Yeah.
We can say that to anyone who's hurt us. We can say that to the system as a whole, everything, and forgive ourselves and others for anything that blocks us.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I'm so sensitive to that, like naturally, like anything, like whenever you go through certain traumas, like if you're always in the trauma, you then become numb to yourself. You become numb to it. You become numb to even trying to even you just to fight. And so like I essentially became numb to other people's opinions. I became numb to like I had this whole like, bro, I don't even care. Like I don't care attitude about life. Like whatever, I'm just gonna do me. And then that and like literally, and it's crazy because like I said, I always had good people around me. I've always had great people around me. One thing about me, I'm an excellent picker of friends. Like if you're someone that I deal with, if you're someone that I mess with, like trust me, like you're a good dude. You're a good person. I promise. You're my friend, you're good. If you're not my friend, tighten up. But I just ignored all the advice. I ignored all the advice, and it's kind of like what I was telling you before. I became hard for me to even be honest with my friends, because be honest with myself. Like I became like essentially like this kind of like liar of like, oh no, I got it, bro. I don't need your help. Like no, and when really I'm like over here, I'm dying over here. Like I'm dying, and then they'll be like, bro, like what's up? Like why don't you ever ask for like, bro? Like that's what friends are for. And it's just like, and like I said, like I've been so lucky to have the kind of friends that just kind of keep instilling that in me, keep telling me that, because it's like sometimes I'm a little hard-headed and the message takes a little bit of time to get through, but man, it feels good to feel again, because when you've been so numb for such a long time, and like life without emotions is very black and white. And that's like, I mean, black and white's cool and all, but we don't want to like, imagine you watch everything in black and white. It's like, all right, God, like, I want purples and blues and yellows and greens. Like,
Yeah.
so.
How did you start to open up and be more vulnerable?
Well, to be honest, my friends just kept calling me out. Like they kept calling me out because my friends are too good. They're like I would say something and they'll be like, bullshit. Like, bro, you're such a liar. Like you could just tell us. And then I'd still be lying about it. And then they'd be like, all right, bro, we know you're lying, but whatever. Like it doesn't even matter. Like but we know you're lying.
Yeah.
And so like at some point I just kept realizing, and then I kept seeing how honest they were. And then naturally you see somebody else, like I would look at people and I'd be like, man, I wish I was like that. Like I wish I was happy like that. I wish I can vibrate at that frequency like they do, because I felt like I know I have a light in me. I've always known it, but it's like I put like a shade over myself, and I just I refused to let people see my light because I was afraid for people to see who I really was. And that all came back because I didn't like who I was, because I again, it's that vicious circle. I kept doing things that made me not honorable within myself, that made me disgusted with myself. So then I didn't want other people to know who I was. And then I just kind of like kept pushing it to the side, kept pushing it under the rug. And it was just like, started with one honesty and then two honesty, and then just started to be honest and honest. And then I started realizing that like all these fears were really like self-imposed. Like, and then honestly, even to those who didn't like it, like I still felt better. I felt true to myself. I was like, and then I had this kind of like weird confidence. I started feeling like this weird confidence that I've never felt before. I was like, well, you know what? At least I know I'm honest. At least I know that I told you I was real with you. And granted, I'm far from perfect. But like the things that I've learned, like it's really been invaluable. And that's why like even meeting you, meeting your friends, meeting the scene, the whole crowd, it's a different world than what I'm used to. Everyone is very carefree, but not not carefree, like we don't care about what happens in life. It's just like, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Like no matter what, like as long as you're just always working on yourself and you're just trying to get better and you're just like, don't get too hung up by your failures. And that's the kind of stuff that I see. That and everybody's in amazing shape. So, you know, those two, I could get with that. I can get behind those two things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, so much. But, you know, wellness and recognizing that our health is our wealth.
Yeah.
And our wealth is our health. Like, that's really all we have. And we can either choose to take care of ourselves, choose to love ourselves, choose to forgive, to accept, to connect, to be, or to suffer. And what do you really want? Like, what do we really want? Do we really want to suffer when we know that there's something else beyond that? Like, if that's all we knew, it's, oh, okay, that's all we know. But no, I think most people now know, like, there's something outside of that, but it takes work. You know, all these people have gone through that dark night of the soul. They really look at their shadows. They see, oh, wow, this is really not serving me. This pattern that I do, I have to actually look at this. I need to actually put my ego aside and see, what do I need to shift in order to be a better person for myself, for my community, for the world. And I think that's like the biggest difference than maybe like what you've normally seen in just the greater Miami like city and this community that you just kind of stepped into by meeting me. And it's not like this exclusive thing. Like, I'm like blasting over here, like, come join us. Everyone's invited. Like, you're invited. Come on up. Like, it's just, you know, come play, come remember, connect. And things might come up at times in connection. You might have to look at yourselves and see what, you know, like what's really not serving. And these full moon times are a really good time to kind of reflect on that. And it's a good support of like releasing those patterns that are really not serving us and that are blocking us from our truth. And
what was the path that led you into fire spinning? Like, how? Because that's sick. That's pretty sick. Yeah. So, again, like, all right, so I started going to music festivals. Actually, when I was in college, I went to college at UCF, University of Central Florida. I was saying I think my sister's going to go there in January. Nice. So. Good times. And wait, not too good, right? Because if it's too good, she's not going. Oh yeah, no, not too good. But, all right. Just making sure. Oh man, there was a friend that introduced Poi to me, which is one of the flow toys that I spin fire with, and it's basically a ball with a chain and you spin it. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, and so you want to kind of, it's like a good balance between left and right hemispheres of the brain and body. It's very healing and therapeutic just to even do. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. I want to do it. And at the time, like, I was always good at sports. Like, I may have been very afraid of dancing for most of my earlier life, but sports and being in my body, I love that. So he showed this to me and I was like, oh, this is kind of like a sport. Like, I'm good at everything with my body. And like, I tried it out and I sucked. And I was just like, this is so hard. I can't do it. My right side is great. My left side is awful. And I was like frustrated. And I was just like, what the heck? And at first I wanted to give up, and then I was frustrated, and then it brought up all of these uncomfortable feelings. But then I was like, all right, let me just try this out. And I practiced and I figured out the one move he was showing me, and I got that one move, and I was like so proud of myself. Someone made fun of me. They're like, here, you can only do one move. You do anything. I was like, whatever, dude. This is great. Like, I don't know. I'm having a great time with my one move. I love a move, though. I love this move. And then I actually kind of gave up for a little bit. I went on a road trip after I graduated college. I went on this cross-country road trip, really opened my eyes to the country, and I loved California, Colorado, everywhere on the West Coast was amazing. And I ended up moving to Colorado and then California. And then once I was living in California, I started going to all these music festivals, and people were playing with these flow toys everywhere out there. And I was like, wow, cool. I know this one move. So I kept practicing with it. And ended up going to Burning Man that year that I moved out to California, and was like, whoa, there was fire spinners everywhere, left and right, all the stages, on the ground. And I was so inspired and so moved, and decided that I wanted to really practice that and for this to be a thing for me. So I started traveling. I was traveling Central and South America that year, and was with the community and started fire dancing with them, and it like opened me up, and I started performing, and I found that it was a way to share this message of interconnectedness, of oneness, of dance and unity with people through art. That is so sick. Like, I would say, like, I remember when I went to California, there was like a different kind of air. There was different kind of air in the world. It was a different kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. So with all these things that you've done, like, where are we taking this? Like, what's next? Like, what is next for Jenergy? Like what are your dreams? What are your goals? I know that you're all like, it's all about the flow. Obviously, everything has to flow, right? But like, where does your intuition feel like it wants to go?
Yeah, so now I'm currently hosting Expansion, which is Ecstatic Dance Miami, twice a month.
Yes, you
And I
are.
see that expanding to be even bigger, possibly even a festival that will bring more people together on this vibe, on this flow, and to
That'll be
remember
sick.
this. So my first kind of like dreams after college and having this awakening was like, oh, I get to like create experiences for people. So I see myself, sharing these experiences at these events, festivals that I curate with the team, and also speaking about this on stages, more podcasts, just really getting my energy and message out there in a bigger way as far as like Jenergy goes. And then for the projects, my event production company is called Ecstatic Flow. And so I see Ecstatic Flow creating these different expansion experiences, ecstatic dances, festivals, things like that to just help more people remember who we truly are. Love, freedom, flow.
That's amazing. And so, like, how do people find you? How do people get to know you? Where can they get you? Like,
My Instagram is Jenergy_flow 108. So that's Jenergy_flow 108. And then I also have Ecstatic Flow, ecstatic-flow.com. That's my website. You can find all the things and the events that I do and everything like that there. So I'm super grateful.
I know
All of this.
that's amazing. I will say, like, since I've met you, it's definitely opened up my eyes to like a different kind of world, and I think it definitely came at like the perfect time. I've always been searching with like, with a lot of trauma and toils that I've had in my life. Like, I've always been trying to search for that peace, that kind of inner peace, and definitely like you and just everyone around you has just been like this kind of bubble of love and appreciation, and it's allowed me to kind of like calm down, like just realize like everything's gonna be all right. You know what I mean? And so like, I honestly, I want to thank you so much for that. Like, it's been an absolute blessing. I want to thank you for joining us, on this podcast. Like, I'm gonna try to blast this message to as many people as possible, because I feel like the more people that hear it, like, the better.
Yeah.
This is something that I feel like everyone should know about. So
Aspire to inspire.
that's fire.
Love.
Hey, are we rapping right now? Is this a song?
Oh, so good. I'm so honored to be invited to share on a Big Dreamers podcast with you. And it's been such a pleasure connecting with you over this time and feeling your presence and energy. It's been really supportive as well. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. Boom.